Yo, I'm Jasper, also known as Atrophy, and before we get started, I'd recommend turning your FOV up to at least 90, and personally, I play at 104, as well as turning auto sprint from off to on. I also recommend changing the crouch button from toggle to hold. And here's my controller keybinds, which you don't have to use, but if you want to, you can. But if you look at the controller overlay, just remember my crouch is LB. Also, I use the controller with back buttons, but the only back button I use is the bottom right one, and I have it set to jump. Timestamps will be down in the description if you want to go to a certain movement. And here's a clip of me using a little movement to 1v3 a pro team that made land.
They actually got a fucking Loki now, bro.
Yeah, I'm only doing the infinite damage challenge right here. My Q won't go off. This guy think he is. He just shit on us!
Bro, what? Nah, he's out. He's out. He's too good.
Yeah, the Atrophy guy is good. He's actually a good player.
This is probably the most simple movement in Apex, probably also the most important. And for this, all you have to do is run, slide, jump. Just run, slide, jump. And you'll only be able to slide jump every 3 seconds, or you'll get a dead slide. Just make sure you're not jumping too early into the slide or too late into the slide, or this will just mess up the slide jump. This is where you instantly holster your weapon and then do a slide jump, and then also switch to your weapon while you're sliding. If you try to do this without holstering your weapon, you will probably get a dead slide. All you have to do for this is run and slide jump towards a wall, and then jump again when you make contact with the wall. So just run, slide jump, and then jump again when you make contact. And there's a pretty big window of time on when you can jump as long as you're connected to the wall. And this goes for all wall bounces, but if you have trouble wall bouncing off of small objects because it makes you mantle, like this, then what you want to do is hold your left stick to the left or right while you're in the air and about to wall bounce. So this isn't quite as cool as it sounds, but all you have to do for this is slide jump at the wall at an angle and stay connected to the wall while holding left stick in the direction you're wall running in, and then you can jump at the end of the wall run. And here's what it looks like when someone does it. So yeah, it's nothing too crazy, but I guess it's kind of cool. And here's what it looks like on Rev. This is where you do a wall bounce without a jump slide. The timing is a little tricky, but you have to jump towards the wall, and while you're in a downward trajectory and make contact with the wall, then you jump again. If you're not in a downward trajectory, it'll look like this, which you don't want. Just make sure you're holding the left stick to the left or right before the wall bounce, just like we talked about earlier. So this just uses the in-game jump mechanics for your favor. When you jump, it's a full jump, but all the jumps immediately following the full jump will be fatigue jumps that don't go nearly as high. So how you do the fatigue jump is you want to do your full jump right before the wall bounce. Then immediately after the full jump, follow up with a second jump, which that jump will be fatigued, and do that jump towards the wall, and then wall bounce just as normal by jumping as you connect to the wall. So to summarize, just jump, then jump into the wall, and then jump again for the wall bounce. I have a more in-depth video of this on my channel, but for this, you will have to have your crouch on hold, and how you do this is you have to hold crouch, then jump every time you make contact with the ground. And you'll only be able to do this in one direction, unless you hold your left stick smoothly in the direction you want to bunny hop in, while also looking where you want to bunny hop with the right stick, while of course still holding crouch and jumping every time you contact the ground. If you're confused at all, just look at the controller overlay and that should help. And just remember that my crouch button is LB. So this is one of the more complex movements, but can also be one of the best. And how you do this is when you climb an object, there's a tiny window of time when you reach the top of your climb that when holding or pressing your jump and crouch at the same time, during that window can result in a super glide. This will probably take some time to practice, so don't get discouraged. When you get your first super glide, you start to understand it and realize the timing and just the overall feel for it. The more and more you do it, the more consistent you'll be. Here's a slowed down version just to help you better understand how it works. So look at the control overlay in the bottom left and just look where I'm at on the climb, and then when I'm clicking both jump and crouch. And just like the normal super glide, there's a tiny window of time when you reach the top of your climb that when holding or clicking your jump and crouch at the same time during that window can result in a super glide. But to do a directional super glide, start holding your left stick to the left or right, whichever way you want to go, right before you click the jump and crouch to super glide. So here's another slow-mo video just to help you better understand where I'm at and the buttons. So just look at the controller overlay in the bottom left, and as you can see, I'm moving the left stick to the left right before I click the jump and crouch for the super glide. Another thing about super glides is the higher FPS you have, the smaller window of time you have to perform the super glide. So if you're on console, it should be the easiest. If you can't quite get the super glide down, there is an alternative. And for this, you just want to climb, wait until you've fully climbed, and then slide. If you do it too fast, you'll get a dead slide. And although this isn't as good as a super glide, this is easier and more consistent. So this is super simple. All you have to do for this is go up to a zipline and interact, followed immediately with a jump. You can also chain this together with up to 2 zipline jumps. This movement works with both vertical and horizontal ziplines, and this movement is pretty simple. You just have to interact with the zipline, then immediately spam jump twice. And here's a little comparison between a normal zipline jump and a super jump. And here's the super jump on a horizontal zipline. So you just interact, jump twice. So this is a pretty complex movement and it's pretty hard to do correctly. But what you have to do is go up the zip, mantle. As soon as you're about to finish your mantle, move the left stick backwards. After you move the left stick backwards, then you super jump. And here's the clip in slow-mo if you want to just look at the control overlay and see the controls. One tip I have for this is just hold, interact the whole entire time, and then spam jump after the mantle. And here's what it looks like, and if you don't go this high, you might have did it wrong. You can do this with an Octane jump pad, and how you do this is just by sliding into the jump pad and then moving your left and right stick smoothly in the direction you want to go. You can air strafe by jumping and then moving the left stick smoothly in an upper circular motion while you're in the air. Also, all air strafing is better on Horizon because of her passive. With Horizon, air strafing can sometimes work almost like a mini tap strafe. Just slide jump and then smoothly hold the left and right stick in the direction you want to go. For this, all you have to do is jump and then slide. Just jump, slide. This can be really good for getting back to cover or just repositioning around the map. You can also do this into bunny hopping, just slide jump and start bunny hopping. One thing you can actually do with this is jump slide while you're crouched. In this next section, I'm going to be showcasing using all the movement we learned in actual combat. The best way to use slide jump in combat is to just slide jump while you're pushing them. This can sometimes catch your opponent off guard if you just come around a corner slide jumping. Especially if they get no audio, you'll surprise them and get a free one clip. The best way to use this is to peek them and then do the Faide Slide. You'll either bait the reload or just surprise them. One way to use this is just when pushing someone, just wall bounce off an object. It'll make it harder for you to hit, and if they're not expecting it, it'll catch them off guard, and you'll be at an advantage. This can catch people off guard because not many people do this, but when you're doing the wall run, it might sound like you're climbing, so if they're on the other side, it might catch them off guard. You can pretty much use this just like a normal wall bounce, just while you're pushing them. And pretty much just like all the other wall bounces, you can just use this when pushing up on someone on like a wall that's nearby. Now this is one of my favorites. Just jump slide and hold the slide down while you're shooting. Try to do as far of a slide as you can, and you'll be really hard to hit. This is my favorite movement in Apex, and what I like to do is jump slide out of cover and then start bunny hopping. This can be really unpredictable and catch your opponent off guard, and it's also just super hard to hit you while you're doing this. I have a longer video about bunny hopping on the channel, and it goes through some practice that you can do to help better do this while shooting. It takes some time to get used to, but if you can learn this, I think it's one of the best movements. This is the best movement if you just want to full send someone. This is like the maximum velocity, so it'll be really hard for them to hit you. Same as the normal Superglide, just good for pushing up on people or just catching them off guard with a Directional Superglide. This is also pretty underrated if you can't do the normal Superglide, and sometimes this even works better than the actual Superglide. Just make sure that you're fully climbed before you try to slide, or else you'll just get a dead slide and it won't work. If you're fighting someone near a vertical zipline, you can just use this as a little momentum boost. And if you combo it, you can make it more unpredictable. Super jump during combat can be really useful if you have a Pathfinder zipline nearby. And this works especially good with the Peacekeeper. And you're also able to reload in the air while you're fighting as well. Mantle jumping can be really good if you're in like a zip building and have a Peacekeeper. I didn't realize that a lot of people didn't know this, but a lot of people when they take a zip, they jump to get off of it. But what works way better is if you crouch and it drops you instantly. You can also do this on horizontal ziplines, so that's a jump right there. It kind of leaves you up in the air so you can get shot at. And right here is crouching, and it brings you down instantly.